An influencer is extradited to the US in a $2 million romance scam targeting older single Americans. This is nuts. So let's check this out. And by the way, romance scams are surprisingly very common. It's basically on literally every single dating app slash social media account. So, a Ghanaian social media influencer has been extradited from the United Kingdom to the US for allegedly swindling over $2 million from older single American men and women in a twisted, lonely heart scam, federal prosecutors said Monday. And the thing is, like, this type of scam really makes me sad because you're basically preying on people who just want to feel wanted, and you literally take basically every dollar from them. Like, that is just evil, basically. So Mona Faze Montrage, 30, of Accra, Ghana, appeared in Manhattan federal court Monday for her alleged involvement in a series of romance schemes targeting older people who lived alone. Prosecutors said. Montrage, it kind of sounds like Montrage, who had around 3.4 million Instagram followers of her page, Hajia for Real, at one point, from at least 2013 through 2019, was involved with a group of con artists from West Africa who assumed fake identities to trick people into thinking they were in relationships with them using emails, texts, and social media messages, the feds said. Now, what's really crazy to me, right? You have a situation where you have a female with a massive social media following choosing the route to just go scam people, allegedly, instead of creating a product that her followers would end up actually liking that is legitimate. Like, for example, there's so many female influencers who are doing the whole OF thing right now, right? And the great thing about that business model is that it's recurring revenue. So what? She has 3,400,000 followers on Instagram, right? So let's say that 1% of her following would purchase her OF, right? 1%, right? That's 34,000 people. Let's say that she charged 20 bucks a month, right? So she could potentially bring in $680,000 per month recurring, aka every single month, right? Without having to basically do anything extra, basically just sitting on your butt, and is practically almost $750,000. Instead of going down that route, you decide to try to scam, allegedly, people. You allegedly try to scam people close to $2 million. Like, to me, it just doesn't even make sense, right? Like, I don't understand why not go more so this route where you can make legitimate money constantly every single month because of your massive social media following, rather than go down a path that's just going to get you potentially arrested because you're doing something highly illegal, which is you're just blatantly scamming people and stealing from them, allegedly, right? According to this article. Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense for someone with this type of following to want to do this, right? Like, how much money do you really need? Like, if you have the potential to make close to $700,000 a month, wouldn't you just keep doing that route? So, let's see. So, the scammer would then get the victims to transfer money to them under false pretenses, such as to help move gold to the US from overseas to resolve bogus FBI investigations and payments to help fake U.S. Army officers in Afghanistan, court papers allege. Montrage, whatever, in one case allegedly duped a victim into sending her $89,000 through 82 wire transfers on the pretext of helping her father's farm in Ghana, the court documents claim. She tricked the person into believing the pair were married by sending them a tribal marriage certificate after a series of phone conversations using her real identity, the filing alleges. Like, again, to me, like, this does not make sense to do this type of scam when you have the potential to literally make multiple six figures, if not seven figures a month doing the whole OF route. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, I literally do not understand why people do this, right? You could just create a product and sell it to your following and potentially make millions of dollars a month or a year. But instead of doing that, instead of going the legitimate route, you're going to put in the effort, the energy, the time, the risk to commit a crime for some extra quick cash. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why even bother going down this route? Like, it just seems unbelievably stupid. Crazy. So Montrage also received money from several others who were swindled by scammers in her network, prosecutors allege. In total, Montrage netted $2 million in funds the group ripped off from victims to bank accounts she had in the Bronx and elsewhere, including one opened in the name of For Real Designs, a supposed clothing company. She then allegedly laundered the stolen money to other members of the enterprise, the indictment charges. So then what? Is this a case where she's basically getting pimped out or something? Because if that's the case, then maybe that makes a little bit more sense. But still, like, this just seems insane to me, right? If I had a massive social media following like her, and I went down the route of OF or something similar, where it's a recurring revenue business model, why wouldn't I just go and do that? Keep it legitimate, keep it legal, don't have to worry about anything related to legal issues, and literally just wake up every day, every week, every month with just massive amounts of money coming into my bank account. Why wouldn't I just go and do that? As alleged, Mona Faye Maharaj was a member of a criminal conspiracy that specifically targeted older Americans through romance scams, Manhattan U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said in a statement. These scams can be both financially and emotionally devastating for vulnerable victims. Thanks to the efforts of our law enforcement partners, Monraj was arrested abroad and has been brought to the United States to face justice, this statement continued. And it was also kind of crazy too, if you stumble upon this. I keep ranting about like her doing like potentially like an OF thing for like recurring revenue, whatever. Like there's no reason to go down this path. But it was also crazy because she is female with a massive following. She probably had a crazy amount of people following her that maybe aren't to the point where they would pay for the OF, but they would be willing to literally just give her money for literally doing nothing. Because that is a very common thing that happens with female influencers where they literally just have random dudes all over the world just straight up cash apping them cold hard money, right? For like literally no reason other than just existing. You not even having to do anything like X rated or adult content related. You could literally just be breathing with this type of following, being a female, being an attractive female to probably a lot of her following, and literally just make crazy amounts of money by simply existing in this world. And thanks to the efforts of our law enforcement partners, Monraj was arrested abroad and has been brought to the United States to face justice. The statement continued. Like, I just don't understand this sort of stuff. So the social media influencer whose Instagram account was among the top 10 most followed in Ghana was arrested on November 10th, 2022 in the UK for alleged conspiracy and brought to the US on Friday. She is charged with wire fraud, money laundering, receipt of stolen money, and conspiracy and faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted on the top charge. Right? Like, think about that, right? Would you literally trade 20 years, 20 years of your life for just $2 million that you went and basically blew on very expensive cars, jewelry, clothing, all that sort of stuff, right? Like, you're willing to literally lose basically a quarter of your life, potentially even half of your remaining life for 2 mil that you just basically immediately blew. That just seems insane to me. Like, I don't understand at all how someone's greed can get to the point where that they are willing to basically trade their freedom just for some quick cash. Like, that makes no sense to me. Monraj pleaded not guilty during her court appearance and was said to be released on home detention to her aunt's New Jersey residence in the coming days on $500,000 bond. With the GPS tracking via an ankle monitor, her lawyer in the prosecutor's office confirmed, at this time, all we know is that there are 6 alleged victims, and only 2 dealt with a woman, and only one of them claims that he dealt with Miss Montrage. Her attorney, Adam Cortez, told the Post. Cortez said that his client can only travel in certain parts of New York and New Jersey pending her case, and the lawyer said he couldn't comment further until he receives more information and evidence from prosecutors. So, obviously, this is not a good situation. It's actually a very bad situation for her. It's also a very bad situation for the victims, right? Because just because she's been arrested, just because she's potentially going to be found guilty of this whole situation, does not mean that any of the money will be coming back to those victims. And that's a very sad situation, right? Because now the victims are victimized on 2 fronts, right? They got victimized by basically getting scammed, and they also get victimized. Actually, no, there's actually 3 ways that they're getting victimized. One, they got scammed. Two, they believed that they were in love with this individual. And then third, they're pretty much never going to get their money back. Period. Because she probably spent basically all the money. Like, the problem with a lot of these scammers that exist out here on like social media and whatnot kind of stuff, especially ones that do like this whole romance scam thing, all of these scammers pretty much just spend all of the money, all of the money. So they go down this path, which is a very extremely risky path, where they're breaking multiple laws, international laws, national laws, etc., ruining people's lives because they basically try to steal everything from them, just so that they could live the elite life, right? The like 1% life of the world for a very short period of time. Like, yeah. She's probably going to be facing maybe not 20 years, but she's probably going to be facing at least 10 years. And it's going to be very bad for her, basically for her whole career, the rest of her life, etc. Like, I just don't understand this sort of stuff. Let's see some of these comments. There's no fool like an old fool. Do those geezers actually think they are attractive to a young, maybe good looking online person? Come on now. They almost deserve to get catfish for being so gullible. The thing is, I feel like some of these older guys, deep down inside, know the whole time that they're being scammed. Like in my personal opinion, I think that pretty much all of them deep down really know that they're getting scammed, but they just want to live in this like fantasy world so badly because maybe like how they feel is just so bad that they would rather willingly let themselves get scammed instead of dealing with their real life, right? Like if your real life sucks or if you feel so alone in your real life, maybe it feels better for you to literally get scammed by some random Instagram influencer in a different country because maybe that makes you feel better about yourself, potentially. I don't know. It's pretty sad though. But this happens way too often. And what's crazy, this doesn't just happen to like guys being the victims to these romance scams. It also happens to females too. Like there's some females out there that fall for these romance scams as well. And even in the article, it expressed that some females got scammed by this influencer. So everyone could basically fall for it in terms of like gender, whatever. But it's just a sad situation because your mindset about yourself has to be so low at that point where you're like basically okay with this happening to yourself. Sad. Maybe she can open a new garage with that, but always need parking in the city. Fools and their money are soon parted. See, what's crazy to me, like speaking about the whole OF thing and how she could have potentially made crazy amounts of money. There's basically there's like an influencer called Bad Baby who made like $50 million in one single year. One single year. And a lot of that money didn't just come from the recurring subscriptions, but basically messages, right? So she would have conversations with people, selling conversations, like private conversations, whatever, to some of her customers, some of the subscribers to her stuff, where she made probably about half of the 50 million from that route, which is pretty crazy, right? So literally conversations that some of these influencers have could literally be worth millions upon millions of dollars, which is just mind blowing. But she could have done this basically all legal. Like there's like literally no reason to go the illegal route with this. Let's see. Whoever would fall for that deserves to lose their money. Who had around 3.4 million Instagram followers? Who follows these people and why? You'd have to be very lonely to be attracted to that. The thing is, people are attracted to very different things. Like, I can't really explain that, but still, like, I just don't understand the illegal aspect. Like, I just don't understand it. Ghana, Piranha, an African version of the Kardashians. Interesting. A lot of desperate men out there. Yep. The Nigerian prince scam is so last year. So many people fall for the Nigerian prince scam. It's so sad. Let's see. Well, at least we know why she targeted older people. I don't know who would like. Okay, basically just insulting her. People need to stop looking for love on the internet and not be so gullible. Please use common sense, and if it seems too good to be true, then it is probably so. The thing is, I don't know if people are even like searching for the whole love aspect. I think it's just people are like so like mentally destroyed for whatever reason that maybe they just want to feel pain through this route because there's a lot of people that fall for this type of scam. So, for example, let's pull up. How many romance scams happened in the United States? I'll say 2022. So the FTC reported that nearly 70,000 Americans fell victim to romance scams in 2022. Like, what? 70,000 people. Okay? That is insane. That's an insane amount of people falling for this specific scam. Not talking about even crypto scams, not even talking about, like all the other different types of scams because there's so many of them, but just specifically romance scams was 70,000 people that fell victim to it. Americans, okay? Not including any other countries or whatever. Like, that's crazy. That being said, if you want to learn how to get out of debt, learn how I got out of debt and grew my net worth, go to 40inbox.com or go down below. Subscribe for more financial commentary like this. It's just like, feel free to give your thoughts too, right? Because, like, can you even imagine wiring someone like 90 grand? Can you imagine wiring someone like 20 grand, 40 grand? That just seems crazy to me. Crazy.